this third part of the last 5 miles on the Greywell road where we left you at the end of part 2, and about to enter the village of Mapledurwell. Now you may remember this area if you watched the Road to Nowhere video I made, which can be found about half a mile ahead. I'll put a link up at the top of the screen. So this crossroads in front of us is the first feature that we're going to look at in this part, and this is the site of what used to be known as Luke's Bridge. Obviously there's absolutely nothing to see today, but with the alignment of the canal still in front of us here, the original road that goes from left to right would have gone over the canal on a bridge. In the area of Luke's Bridge, walking down Greywell Road, it's hard to imagine today that just 110 years ago this was the scene of a canal, albeit on the last years of its life, and there was even a bridge here. So we'll look at the National Library of Scotland map. Now this overlay, which I've put onto the modern map, dates from 1910. Here's the modern Greywell Road, and you can see that the canal, apart from going from side to side, it more or less sits on the top, and here is Luke's Bridge, right exactly where I'm standing at the moment. Deviating from side to side of the current road alignment, it swapped from left to right a few times, but only by a few feet, until just a few feet ahead of us here it took a very sharp bend to the right and swung into this field. Now today there's no trace of it moving out south. It's been completely ploughed away. This is now farmland. It might be worth looking at Google Earth or something like that on their timeline setup, just to see if there's any parch marks or something. But as it is today, there is no evidence whatsoever that a canal ever existed at this point. So here we are back on the map again. Not Google Maps, but National Library of Scotland. Anyway, here's Greywell Road. I was stood looking into the field approximately here. It's a bit of a difficult area as well because the field itself is rising. However, looking at this image, you can definitely see where the canal went. You see that dark line going across the field there, and then it swings into those trees there, and that is bang on the alignment of the canal. And just to prove as much, we'll put the overlay on, and there we have it. So even though I said there is no evidence whatsoever of the canal in this area, the evidence is there. You just have to be a few hundred feet up to see it. The next feature requires a bit of road walking, as we're unable to walk across the field. And to find its location, I'm leaving Greywell Road behind and walking up Frog Lane. So we walked up Frog Lane and we're now at the site of Frog Lane Swing Bridge. Now in front of me, and it's going to be very difficult to see thanks to the ever increasing vegetation here in the first week of May, but you can see the embankment over there. It's a very high embankment, and that would have brought the canal from our last point of reference, which was the field just east of Luke's Bridge. Now if we cross over the road, I'll just jump down. Wow. We'll go over to the other side, and here we get a much better view of the canal's embankment. You can see there it's swinging off to the left. We've got some water down there, that's running water, and I think they're tributaries of small rivers that run around here. where we got our definite canal bank running from right to left here, and it's swinging off going in that direction. Now if we go onto the road, check for traffic, and you can clearly see that we're now coming to the apex of where the bridge would have been. Now let's not forget, this wasn't a stone bridge, this is a swing bridge. The canal is on a very high embankment here, so there was no stone arch bridge going over. So what you're seeing is more or less the correct level of the road, and the level of the water would have been probably a foot or two below what you're looking at the top of the road surface here. So this here in front of me is the crossing point, and there's a bit of a clue there, Crosswater Cottage. So this here is the crossing point and the site of where Frog Lane Swing Bridge used to sit. So fortunately I found a footpath. I'm actually walking on the canal's northern bank. So the canal would have been the other side of this hedge and building. Unfortunately this is a private residence, so I'm not going to pry in there. But in front of me the ground opens out a little bit. And what I think we've got, with a certain amount of surety, I'm pretty certain that this piece of grass here is the canal itself. So you can see the boundary on the other bank there. And in fact, if we look up here a few yards, yes indeed, so you can see that the canal goes from being pretty flat here. It might be a little difficult to see on the camera, but it goes into a cutting just up there. Unfortunately it's private land, so I can't, but at least we're definitely on the right area. Oh look, there's a cat. So coming out of this delightful little footpath which followed the winding river, we come out onto what's known as Canal Reach, a relatively new building project. Now, there's nothing to see of the canal here, but there is evidence that the canal was here, and that's by the rise in the land. You can see the road climbing, and this is the embankment, the same embankment that we saw back at the swing bridge on Frog Lane. So I'm east of Frog Lane and the last point we saw, which was the road on Canal Reach, and I'm now on the bank, on the south bank of a very, very deep cutting. If you look down there, you can see we are a good 45, 50 feet above the canal bed. The canal bed is right there in amongst the green and the nettles, and it's also a very precarious position. I don't feel at all happy for the things I do for exploration, eh? However, as we grab onto a tree, you can see over there through the trees the brickwork of Little Tunnel Bridge. Just through there. We'll have a closer look if we can in a minute. There's absolutely no chance of getting down there, and if I got down there I wouldn't be able to get back up either. But you can just about see it through the trees. It's a Little Tunnel Bridge. So looking down into this immense cutting, I'm standing on the ground level pre-canal, so this is pre-1790s, so the ground would obviously have been flat. That down there is a good 50 feet at least. The other side of this cutting must be a couple of 100 feet, what do you reckon? A couple of 100 feet across to the other side. This is a monumental engineering work. in the 1790s. The poor navvies who had to dig this out. And you can see the edge there. It's such a steep side, and let's see if we can get a different view. So we're almost right on the tunnel. You can just see its brickwork through there, and it's very frustrating that you can't get down there to look at it. However, I know the canal bed, you can walk it on the other side of the tunnel, so hopefully we'll get a glimpse of that side. Reluctant as I was to clamber down into that steep cutting, I found some footage of when I did just that a couple of years ago. I must have been braver then. Here it is. Getting stung. We've come down from the ridge now where those trees are, which carried the path across Little Tunnel Bridge. In front of me we have what's left of the canal bed. The embankment to my right is the remains of the north bank and towpath as it was. I'm going to go down now into this area. Now, it looks well used. I know this bit here is a footpath, but I haven't seen any sign saying private or keep out, so I'm going to throw caution to the wind. Now obviously this is been piled up quite high, but this shows, look at the engineering work. This has all been cut out. This is the east side of the east portal of the tunnel. And look at what's been, this is all engineered out. Look how deep we are. So hopefully when we get round this corner we should get our first glimpse of the tunnel. I still haven't seen any signs saying I can't go here, so I may be sticking my neck out a bit. And there we have it, the tunnel, the eastern portal of Little Tunnel Bridge. I'm not going to go in because clearly the farmer's got stuff parked in there. So we're moving away from Little Tunnel Bridge now, and we're going to go back travelling east. Now the embankments that you see on your right, I don't think they're the original canal embankments. I think they're more modern mounds that have had vegetation grow over them. There's a more modern one there you can see, which is just full of well, just general rubbish really. Now getting around this corner, you can see we're back to where we was not too many minutes ago. We have that embankment in front of us. That's the north bank of the canal, and the towpath as it was. There's very little of it left there. A lot of it's been landscaped out. But I'm going to walk along this footpath now, and our canal would have been found up on that embankment there, and it would have followed this footpath but just to the right of it. As we get you know, level with the ground, you can see it's been ploughed and landscaped out, and there's very little evidence of the canal at all on our right, but that's where it was. Now in front of us you see a mound or another embankment. You can see it better to our left there. That's, well, as you can see, a farmer's area for storing stuff, but it's also where our canal went. So our canal would have gone through there as that embankment in a small cutting and onto Penny Bridge. Now Penny Bridge is found on the opposite side of those hay bales. So I'm back on Greywell Road, not for the first time. That's the route we've just taken coming from Little Tunnel Bridge. That's the farmer's yard, and Little Tunnel Bridge is round the corner. So that's the alignment of the canal up to the point in the corner. The actual alignment of the canal is through here. You've got a bit of an embankment there that you can see, and it would have come through here. So you can see where all these stinging nettles are. That's the bed. We got some big trees this side, that'll be one bank. Some big trees that side, that'll be another bank. But where all these stinging nettles are, and obviously I'm not going to go in there, that's the route of our canal, and it would have come across here under the road. Now under the road, this is the site of Penny Bridge. Obviously long since gone. There's no hint of Penny Bridge today, but there's a possibility that some of it still exists. So if we look over here in the entrance to the farmers area, there's quite a bit of rubble and masonry, some concrete, some blocks, and there's some definite stone. Now I'm not sure, I'll have a look at pictures if I can, or if one exists of Penny Bridge, whether it was stone or brick. But what we have here is quite a bit of stone on the ground, and we have some definite bricks. Now they could just be modern, they could have nothing to do with it, but it's a possibility that they could be part of the bridge. But let's be honest, it was situated just there. So if we cross Greywell Road, we're going to find something we haven't seen before on this canal walk. So just to my right here, through the trees, we find the canal bed, and for the first time it is full of water. It's quite still water. I know it's fed by springs, it's quite gooked up with weed and algae, but look at that, isn't that lovely? So Penny Bridge would have been located precisely here. Very wooded now, but I'm going to have a look over there and see. Now I've just seen something. Now what is that? We've got some letters. So we got B R D O. B, oh no, that's a C. BRDC. Anyone got any idea what that could be? Please let me know. So let's have a look in here. Let's go into the jungle once more, and I'm hoping that there might be some rubble. Now there's quite a bit of moss there, and there's no plants growing. Could that be some brickwork? Let's have a quick look, maybe scrape. It's very, no, I think it's rubble or something. There's no plants growing and it's mossed over, so that could well be some brickwork, but I think it's pretty well baked in there. I'm not going to dig too deep. Let's have a look. It's pretty deep there, vegetation. I can't see anything, and when you think about it, you're looking at 50, 60, 70 years ago that this bridge would have been demolished, maybe even more. But anyway, that's the site of Penny Bridge. So let's move along. So we're going to continue travelling east now. Let's have a look once more. So if you notice here, so Penny Bridge would have been there, and the canal widens considerably. And if you look on the map, the National Library of Scotland map, it shows the same widening. So the bridge would have gone from about there to there, so much narrower than the cutting that we've got. And I can only assume that was a waiting point for boats. This photo of Penny Bridge dated 1913 shows Mr. A.J. Harmsworth's boat Basingstoke on its unsuccessful final attempt to reach Basingstoke Wharf and Basin, and if you look, it clearly shows the increased width of the canal prior to the bridge. So let's follow the canal, let's follow the towpath and see what else we can find. Although we've still got water in the canal, it looks very much like a canal every now and then, and it's probably because it's spring and all the plants are budding and blooming. But we got It almost looks like a marsh with the marsh grass or whatever it is growing out, and then we got that bush over the other side which is encroaching and creating a new bank of its own. It looks lovely, and it's beautiful nature, and this is actually a nature reserve here now. It's very peaceful. It's very nice, especially with the sun glinting through the trees. So the canal bed's drying up a little now. Maybe that's because it hasn't rained for quite some time. Got quite a bit of mud and silt there, but we carry on and we come to the first bridge since we discovered water, and the first intact, fully accessible bridge since Basingstoke House, and this is Brick Kiln Bridge. Now if we have a look at it, we got quite a few strengtheners already in the bridge. It's had quite considerable work done on it, probably just to keep it up. But one interesting thing to look at on here, if you look at the crest of the bridge up there, it's got like a peak and a visible apex. So if we walk through, look at this, this is lovely, the edge of the towpath still brick lined. Unfortunately we haven't got water in there, there's quite a bit of mud. But it's a lovely bridge. If you look up there, I don't know what they are. We've got some hooks. And what I'll do, I'll extend the camera so we can have a close look at that. What were they for? They're quite rusted. Now, something else I've noticed, whether it's genuine or not, but there's some graffiti, and it looks quite ornate, not the sort of thing that's done, you know, on the whim. Quite well done. I'd love to think some of it was genuine. So as we come out to the eastern portal of Brick Kiln Bridge, I'll show you what I mean about the top of the bridge. Now if you look up there, it's of a completely different build. There's no point, there's no apex, and I've no idea why. We've got our 4 strengtheners again. Very rustic looking, isn't it?